surrender. Both words are start with an S, but there are more to it than that. Surrender is when we give up, when we let ourselves go, maybe. We give ourselves to something higher, maybe, or just give up. We surrender to, someone else, to God, to life, to our circumstances, whatever it is. Synchronicity, on the other hand, is, I looked it up now just to be certain, it springs from the German psychologist Carl Gustav Jung, he who famously said, he who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakes. I just love that quote by him. He has written books, I think they are like somewhat misogynistic, if you look at them today. I remember reading them several years ago and noticing that it was another time, though, so we shouldn't maybe be too hard on him. But yeah, he has been a pivotal character within the psychological field for, shall we say, the better part of a century. He was supposed to be the inherit Freud's legacy, but he surely didn't. Freud was an atheist, basically. He didn't believe in the things that the woo-woo stuff that Jung did, and Jung was interested in Eastern philosophy and spirituality and religion, and that was not the road that Freud traveled, for sure. Anyway, one of the concepts that he apparently coined was synchronicity, like being in harmoniously, or synchronized swimming. We have, I think, also, an analogy to that would be vibing together. Like we say, things are in sync, basically. And this meaning of synchronicity is, to quote it, Jung, synchronicity is a concept introduced by analytical psychologist Carl Gustav Jung, actually, to describe events that coincide in time and appear meaningfully related, yet lack a discoverable causal connection. That is what separates it. So there's things that coincide in time and space, events, basically, and that are meaningfully related. So there's a meaning, or interpretation of some sort of meaning, at least. Freud would, of course, say that, that's just, wishful thinking, basically, whereas Jung believed in those kinds of things. Yet, and there's no causal connection, really. So it's almost like astrology, you could say. Jung held this was a healthy function of the mind that can become harmful within psychosis. So things happen to us, and there's this famous or often heard about, at least, coincidences when you think about someone and they call you. How that's weird, right? That can, without doing experiments, I mean, you can believe whatever you want, but it's there's definitely some ways to debunk those claims, at least at first at first sight, or because you don't know how many times you think about someone. That's the problem here. We don't know. We don't keep track on how often we think about someone. And what we do notice, though, if we think about someone and that someone calls, then it becomes like, whoa, that's insane. I'm not discounting real synchronicities, though, and that could be a real synchronicity, whatever that mean. I mean, that's meaningfully related, yet lack a discoverable causal connection. That is true for them. So that is synchronicity. I guess the question is, what is the function of the universe that makes it happen? Is it just a coincidence, or is there a causal connection? They say here that there's no discoverable causal connection, yet meaningfully related. Thinking about someone calling you. That is meaningful for many people. And other instances too are meaningful. You think about something else, and that thing appears in the newspaper or on your phone. You need something and someone calls you. I'm like reusing the same examples in different ways. That can also be something like that, or whatever it is. There's tons of those things. Some people tend to experience insane amounts of synchronicities on a regular basis. I would say, there is the way to test it is to think of it in terms of probabilities. That is the way we do scientific research, basically. We look at the probability of something happening. And I think a lot of times when people think about synchronicities and the probability of it, they may be misjudging it to some degree and think that it's more improbable than it actually is. But there are definitely, I think, this isn't really synchronicity, but there are people trying to prove paranormal, basically what Jung believed, trying to prove that. And one way of doing that, I think, that is sort of acknowledged, nothing is usually, there's one thing of, for example, looking at random number generators and trying to affect them, because they are random and they should always be, so it's easy to ascertain the probability of some numbers. And when it's off, there's there's basically some sort of proof that it isn't random. Then, of course, the question is, why isn't it random? Right? Why isn't it random? And I think most people who are against paranormal activity and don't believe in it say that, they don't say that there's enough evidence for it. They would find a way of explaining it or explaining it away. Whereas the people for it would say that, here's proof of it. Another way of proving it, or that has been proven to some extent, I think, is remote viewing, because you can also look at the probability of being able to draw something that you haven't seen, something, in another room, or doesn't really matter, just as long as you're unable to see it. And there are people that are, it's the degree to which they are able to draw the things are way beyond what is, can be thought of if you just draw something, or even something that it could be. It's off the charts as far as I understand it. So that's a way of proof for some sort of, I don't know if it's some form of evidence, shall we say, for it. I think that even people who are against paranormal activities agree that the probability of being able to do that is, it's true that they shouldn't be able to draw that something that looks that much like the things that is on a table or whatever it is in another room. Yet they again say that it's because of something else, or they don't agree with the explanation, basically. So the causal connection here, I guess, is not that the person is actually viewing it through their own minds, but it's something else that is could be, I guess, discovered somewhere. Okay, maybe that's off topic a bit, but synchronicities are really interesting, I think, and people going through spiritual awakenings seem to have a lot of them, at least at times. I myself have also gone through periods of a lot of synchronicities, and sometimes even nowadays I do experience things that are feels like a bit like synchronicities. It is really, I mean, in the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? It's just like Jung says, it's meaningfully related. And if it's meaningful for you, why does it matter if it's, the basis of it or the ontology of the happening, as it were? If it's, is there some paranormal causal connection between the events that is causing this synchronicity to occur, or is it your mind that is making it up, making the connections in which there are really none, just feels meaningful for you for some reason? Isn't that the truth for everything seen through a materialistic point of view? There's nothing here, there's no meaning here, right? There's just atoms. Even atoms is a name for something. It's just just things. It's just however you think that the universe was created. We are, like people say, just star stuff. The stuff of stars, which is literally true. If we go with the idea of the Big Bang happening, where is the meaning of anything? It was a Big Bang, and then this what we call a biological organism is sitting here speaking about synchronicity and meaning. It's just made up. That's obvious, I think, from at least from a materialistic point of view. There is no meaning, so there are no synchronicities either. There's just atoms flying around, walking around, and everything is basically predetermined. So if everything's, I don't know if that does anything to explain anything. But from a materialistic point of view, there are no synchronicities. There's nothing going on really apart from the material world doing its thing. And when we speak about things and talk about meaning, that is just sounds. It's just material stuff. It's just waves of sound doing things. So, but that's the thing. We don't live our lives like that. We don't live our lives as if nothing matters. We live our lives as if things matters a lot. Things that we have made up. We have love for our children or friends or whoever it is, our family. We enjoy doing things. We experience synchronicities that seems to be meaningful or feels meaningful to us. And if that's your experience, why even wonder whether or not it's like true in an objective sense? Because from a materialistic point of view, nothing is really. It's the love for your children is just molecules and atoms doing something. Your experience of feeling happy is the same thing. It's the biochemistry within the brain and body. Doesn't really have any real meaning, or everything else is extra. It's just, we can call it physics, we can call it like mathematics, or just stuff moving around. Okay. Surrender was the other word for today. So we have surrender and we have synchronicity. Synchronicity, again, things coming together in a meaningful way. It could be true, it could be not true. doesn't matter really. That's also what the traditions say. The traditions are the mystical traditions in their respective religions, or shamanic, other types of mystical traditions. They basically say that our mind is making everything up, not just synchronicities, but everything, even the world. Like Ramana Maharishi used to say, it isn't really his quotes, but I don't know who is quoting. The world is illusion, Brahman alone is real. Brahman is the world. So everything is an illusion. Everything is at the same time God, Brahman, the true self, whatever. And Brahman, God, true self, again, is the world. How does that make any sense? Yeah, that's how they explain the nature of reality, and it goes beyond even the idea of materialism or not materialism, or determinism or not determinism, or the ontology of synchronicities. Realizing that is a sort of surrender, to harken back on that word or topic. When we realize that, or that is realized within surrender. There can, of course, be different types of surrender. We can surrender to, again, a lot of stuff in the relative world. But there's a deeper surrender in which we experience the world as different from what it used to be. We experience the world, or, there's not even a world. It's just something beyond words. Something expressed as the world is illusion. The world is illusion. Brahman alone is real. Brahman is the world. Brought up the text from the Heart Sutra here, interpreted by the late Thich Nhat Hanh. The last paragraph isn't really a translation, though, because it's the same in all of them. It's Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvaha, which means beyond, even more beyond, even more beyond enlightenment. Oh, how wonderful. So, yeah, it's a tricky thing maybe to try to interpret that, but I think that's pointing to this idea of going beyond ideas. We go beyond birth or death, as they say explicitly in the Heart Sutra. We go beyond synchronicities, for sure. We go beyond the ontology of synchronicities. And there's a surrender, there's a death of concepts, death of existential concepts. I mean, there's the existential psychology in which we view our predicament as human beings, which can be helpful, just like synchronicities can be. Yet in the end, again, I mean, not for everyone, but for those involved in the mystical tradition. Even if we take Christian mystics, they on the path realize that there is no God. God is just a concept. And that can be disheartening for some. It can even lead to some pretty bad consequences for them if they talk about it. Maybe not nowadays, but it used to be. It used to be like that. It's blasphemy, basically, to say, on a relative spectrum, something that's even more true about the nature of reality. Realizing, surrendering into that, surrendering and realizing everything falls away. Your religion even falls away. God falls away. You yourself falls away. The world falls away. Everything falls away. That is deep surrender. That is deep knowing of the essence, by whatever name you want to give it. So Synchronicities can be fun and can be very meaningful. I think on a relative scale, surrender might be more useful, but neither synchronicities nor surrender is something that we really, it's can't really choose it. I'm gonna have a lot of synchronicities now, or I'm gonna choose to surrender now. We can try though. We can have the intention of giving up, giving over. We can pray for it. We can do our spiritual practice, and we can try to be a love in the world as best as we can, and hope for the best. Yeah, okay. Thank you.